It's that time of year when we're planting transplants, and we have a little trick that might help ease that process. Now, you might be familiar with this. This is called a dibble, and basically it's a hole punch for the soil. This particular type of dibble is often used for bulb planting, but today we're going to make a dibble board, and this is an example of a dibble board here. And what this is this is the measurements we need for our 6-packs that we often plant in. So you can customize it to what you might plant in. But this is a 6-pack, and basically the dibble, if you push it down on the soil, you have uniform holes in each one of your 6 cells at a uniform depth. And all of this will help with germination as well, making sure that those seedlings are at the right depth. You'll see those seedlings come up at about the same time as well, so you'll have more uniform germination. Now, how are we going to make this? Well, the first thing that you want to do is get a scrap piece of wood, such as this right here. You can use scrap wood, you can use plywood, it doesn't really matter. You want something that's not warped or bowed too much, because otherwise it'll kind of wobble on your 6-pack. So when we have a board here, we're going to place this down here, and we're going to get our 6-pack and turn it over on top of that. And then we're just going to measure how long our 6-pack is. It works out that ours is actually the correct width. Now, of course, if it wasn't, you would want to measure that side as well to cut any width off of it. All right, now the next thing that we need to do is figure out where our actual pegs are going to go in our dibble board. And we're just going to kind of eyeball this. The nice thing about our 6-pack here is they have holes in there for drainage. So using a marker, because it just makes easy marks, we're going to kind of go down the center of each one of these and put a little point. All right, now that we have that done, we're going to take that off and kind of see if our spots were about accurate, and it looks like we might adjust those a little bit. You can always measure those a little bit as well and kind of see where they should be in the center. So we're looking at about a 1.5 inch mark from the outside. So 1.5 inch. So we're about right there. It's not an exact science. That's the nice thing. The seeds will germinate as long as they're in soil. So now that we've kind of got our marks made, we're going to go ahead and cut this off and drill our holes. We've cut our board and we've drilled our holes using a 5/16 inch drill bit. And that's because we're using a 5/16 inch dowel rod to make our actual dibble holes. Now, again, if you had a larger seed, you might want to think about using a larger dowel rod or something. The other thing that's out there and available are these dowel pins that are used to hold wood together if you're a carpenter or something, but these work well too. They're nice and rounded. So that's another option. They come in different widths and also different lengths. Now we're going to need to cut our dowel rod to the length that we want. And you might keep in mind that when you're doing this, you might just do it a little bit longer, because sometimes there's a lip on these, and so the dowel probably won't go in the whole depth that you're expecting it to go in. So we're going to do ours at about 3/4 inch, and we're going to need to add that to the depth of our board, which is also 3/4 inch. So that's going to give us a dowel length of 1.5 inches that we need to cut. So we'll make 6 measurements of 1.5 inches and cut those. Now that we've got our 6 little dowels, our pegs that will go in our dibble board cut, we're going to go ahead and start painting those with some wood glue. And you'll notice we drilled all the way through our board, and so that means our pegs are going to go all the way through. So we'll just need to paint a little wood glue on each of these and try to get a little in the holes as well. And then we're going to use our mallet to hammer those all the way down in there. Now you'll notice your moment of truth is how steady your hand was with your drill as to whether your holes are straight or not, or your pegs are straight. All right, now that we've got those pegs set in there with glue, we of course need to let this glue dry a while. So we're going to just let that set for probably about 24 hours. We have one here that we've had drying, and so these pegs are nice and solid in there now. Now, if you've noticed that you didn't cut yours quite straight, and even if you did, it still helps to kind of round out those edges just to make them a little bit smoother. So I like to use a little sandpaper to round out those edges. If you have a peg that's a little bit longer than the rest of them, again, you can use sandpaper to take that down. So a 1-hour project now will help save you time later when you're planting those seeds.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.